Good morning, everyone, and happy New Year's Eve. That's it. 2025 is drawing to a close, crawling across the finish line. It has been a really interesting year. I think everybody will agree that for us, it sort of started with fire and it's ending with rain. Somebody wrote a song about that at one point, I think. Long time ago. But it's been a great year for books. I think we can all agree. And so today on Elevenses, we have a very special Elevenses cast for you today. We are all booksellers today. Our wonderful publishers reps will return next week with their upcoming and new releases. But today, we booksellers want to talk about the books we really loved this year in 2025 that we had fun selling, that we enjoyed reading. Not all of them came out this year, although most of them that we're going to talk about. And we want to share those with you. We're doing a year-end wrap-up here of all the best books, according to us. Actually, it's a it's a smaller list because I mean, we're limited to 3 each, but I have it was really hard for me to pick. So I think we can all agree on that too. It's like, oh no, there was that one as well. So just suffice to say, you need to go into the store and just look because there's a lot of great stuff. But anyway, we're going to talk about 3, 6, 9, 12 of them today. And I will be talking about my favorites this year for 2025. And also, we are going to be talking to Henry, who is here. Joey making his appearance on camera. Usually he's behind the scenes, posting links and producing. And Rory is joining us for the first time. And we're really happy to see Rory here today as well. So I think, Henry, why don't you kick it off?
Hello. Long time no see.
I know. It's been a while. We've been off for a couple of weeks. I missed you guys.
I feel so loved. My first book for this year is The Outsider by Stephen King. I did a lot of the Stephen King books on Elevenses last year because my partner is obsessed with Stephen King. And whenever they get the opportunity, they do force me to read one. By and large, Stephen King books are very dark, very upsetting, very gruesome. This is up there. This is really up there. For those who haven't read, it is about a small town where a young boy is brutally murdered. I'm not going to get into the details of it. There's cannibalism. And all evidence points to the local Little League coach. He's like an institution in the town, been a Little League coach for years and years and years. He is publicly arrested in front of the entire town. And, dragged in front of, they do a whole circus, they do a whole show of arresting him. Once he's arrested, he explains that it can't be him because he has an alibi of being 500 miles away at a teacher's conference, because he's also a teacher at the local school, where there is fingerprint evidence, DNA evidence, and video evidence of him being there, while there is also fingerprint, DNA, and eyewitness testimony of him being the person who killed the kid. It's super gruesome. It's really gnarly. It's a lot about how quickly someone can be ostracized in a small community or a large community, but this one happens to take place in a small town. It has the usual Stephen King flair of even when you win, you don't win, and it's terrible and everything sucks. It's a really good book, and it is also a really good limited series that I'm part of the way through. That has Cynthia Erivo is in it. Oh God, what's his name? That guy from Ozark is the main character, and Ben Mendelsohn is the detective. It's a really great show, and it's a really great book.
I haven't read this one. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and I think partially because I knew since I was a teenager, I've been a Stephen King fan, and he always pops up on my favorite authors ever.
Yeah.
And because the joy he has in writing is evident in every book, and he does have a really broad range. He does straight horror, but there's always a little bit of social commentary in it, or
Yeah.
he does his more like the quiet horror of the everyday man kind of a thing, characters. And his book on writing is the only book on writing that I ever actually used, that I found helpful and I recommend to other writers. It's an amazing book in and of itself.
Oh,
But
strongly
I had
recommend.
what's that?
I strongly recommend his book.
Yeah,
His on
it's
writing
a
is great.
fantastic book and incredibly useful. I had a dream about Stephen King last night, actually, Henry, and it's probably because of you. Yeah, I had a dream that he was dropping off some signed books that he was giving to me,
Oh, I
like
wish.
me personally. And I was about to tell him how much he meant to me, and then I woke up. So you can take your pick with Stephen King. He's written a million books, and whether you're feeling like super dark and grisly, or if you're just feeling psychologically dark, and I love that about him. So, but I didn't really know about this series, which is interesting.
It
Where
is
is
really
it
great.
streaming?
HBO. Yeah, I believe on HBO. And then The
Okay.
Outsider as well. It fits into the Holly universe. That character Holly, she's a detective. She's in the one with the car.
Right.
Christine.
Right. Yeah.
She's in those books,
Okay.
and then she appears in this before she appears in
That's right.
Holly, and then that new one that
Right.
that is, I think,
That's
coming
right.
out soon about her as well.
Fantastic. A great start. Thank you, Henry. Rory, what's your first book?
Um, my first book is Hamnet by Maggie. This was not a 2025 release nor a 2025 read for me, but I would guess it was for a lot of people because of the release of the new movie with Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal, which I thought was fantastic. But I read this book last year, and it just like far and away better than the movie for me, and I'm saying a lot. It's a kind of fictional retelling, kind of loosely inspired by um, William Shakespeare's wife, Agnes, and his three children, particularly Hamnet, whose life and death kind of inspired him to write Hamlet, which I also read this year. So having those two in my mind kind of freshly as I watched the movie was really interesting, but I just think this is one of the most like beautifully written, poignant books I've ever read. It's a really beautiful reflection on family and like the reverberations of loss and like how those shape different people differently over time. So I would recommend it really highly. I am still thinking of it, and I feel like I would want to read it before I watch the movie.
So let me ask you a question, Rory. So you said you read Hamlet for the first time this year.
Yeah.
So how did they compare? I'm curious. How did, when you were thinking about the two of them together, what did you get out of each one more after reading Hamlet?
Yeah, I feel like the connection, when I had only read Hamnet and not Hamlet, I was a little surprised at the idea that they were, or that one was inspired by the other because, um, I mean, there is a lot of darkness in the story of Hamnet, Shakespeare's son, but none that I felt like would manifest in the way that Hamlet is dark. And it seems like kind of an odd story to be inspired by the writer's son. It like that doesn't necessarily seem like an honor you wouldn't think, or like a proper tribute to a son. But upon reading Hamlet, I do think that like you can absolutely see the way that like the profound personal experience of loss kind of infused Shakespeare's writing in Hamlet. I think there is such a sense of like grief and emotion, more so than in a lot of the other Shakespeare plays and works that I've read. So I think you can definitely like feel the way that the um, like proximity to this specific loss was felt, even if it's not like a one-to-one with the characters.
Right, and I think a lot of us who read Hamlet before Hamnet, you didn't really know any of that, or a lot of us didn't know any of that. And so it's like, wow, Hamlet's like a downer, you know, what is his problem? But that, you know, that's interesting. I think it's interesting to read that first. And apparently the movie is amazing. I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, but have you?
I think incredible.
Ah, okay. All right. So a plug for everything there. Hamnet, and the movie. That's your weekend.
The whole trifecta, yeah.
Thanks, Rory. Joey.
Hi.
Hi, Joey.
So, yeah. Let's see what I am going to talk about, because like we're value added here on
Always value added.
Elevenses. So we got Rory, who gave you 2 books and a movie to watch,
And a movie. And
Henry, who gave you a book
and
a book and a series to watch. I am going with my top, it's like my top read, but I guess it's more like my top 2 reads, because it's like they go together. They're kind of bookended with each other. And it is, so the first one is The Blacktongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. And this one it's fantasy, like kind of dark fantasy, and following a thief who has a job gone wrong, and that just pulls him into a whole world of bleak darkness that just sends him on a world-spanning adventure, and he is not a world-spanning person, which I like those kinds of stories where you have someone and they think they know what's up, and then they are pulled out into a whole like bigger world that they didn't really know existed, and they had no intention of joining. And there was somebody told me once that it's like the Frodo effect, or like if you have an adventure story, you need a Frodo, just an innocent, even though this guy's not innocent at all, but you need like someone who doesn't know the rules of the world to be the reader, basically, so that it can be explained to them, and that the world can, like, you can show them the world through the eyes of the main character as a translation layer, whatever. Anyway, this one is this one is really special in that I got the same feeling as the first time that I read Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote The Name of the Wind. And that when I read that back in 2007, that was a real shift in fantasy and what I thought fantasy could be and what it could be about, and that it could be more literary than what we thought until that point, because it feels kind of trite now, but it doesn't really hold up in 2025 or going into 2026 in the same way. But when it was published, it was amazing. And so I get that same feeling of this is when fantasy can say more, can be about more than just the adventure. And we explore this world full of complete grief, or not grief. It's recovering from a trauma, like a generational world-spanning trauma, and it has reoriented society entirely because of it. And that leads into the second part of this, which is The Daughter's War. And this one just knocked me on my ass. Like, I read this and I can't stop thinking about it. And it's so beautifully written, and it is so completely soaked with grief and love and beauty, and the worthiness of like loving something that is temporary, that will go away. And it's set on a backdrop of a unit of women soldiers fighting goblins. And the reason why they're women soldiers is because they ran out of men to fight the war. And this takes place before the Blacktongue Thief, but I think you should read the Blacktongue Thief first. So when you go to read this, you get a bit more context for the whole world and everything that they're fighting for. Anyway, just amazing books. Some of my favorites, like ever. I read them both back to back this year, and they instantly became like top 10 fantasy novels for me, like ever. So
I remember you talking about these back when you were reading them, actually, and you were really enthusiastic about them then. But tell me something, Joey. When you're recommending them, are you recommending them to like a variety of readers, or who's the reader? I mean, other than the straight on, fantasy reader.
Yeah,
Who else?
I've been recommending it to people who just want something. They want something good and they want something different.
Mhm.
And if they're open to reading fantasy, then like this is you have to read this. This is a necessary read for someone who reads fantasy for sure. I feel like this guy is the future kind of thing. It's like this is a moment in it. He hasn't like landed in a big way yet, like Patrick Rothfuss did, but like this is the moment, like ground floor of this guy. It's like he has a bunch of other books he's written. He's written horror novels and stuff. He wrote Between Two Fires, which was a vampire novel. Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Henry.
Joey's been trying to get me to read Daughter's War and Blacktongue for about 18 months.
I know, he's been talking about it for a long time. But that's the best. I mean, that's the best. And this is a convenient segue into my first book. When you're so passionate about something, when you're so passionate about a book and you recommend it to readers, not necessarily like the reader for it, but a reader who's open to something a little bit different. And that is my first book, actually, which is Flesh by David. Oh, I knew how to pronounce his last name because I looked it up. It's not how it looks. It's Szalay or
Szalay.
Szalay.
Szalay or Szalay.
No, it's not. No, it's an O. It's an O sound. Szalay. Anyway, I looked it up. I should have done that again. Szalay.
We
anyway,
we had a whole conversation about this 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I know. I don't know why it doesn't stay in my head. I'm like a huge fan of this guy.
Long ago, and 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, listen, in this, it's like a dog year, 2025 for sure. But I'm a big fan of his. He wrote All a Man Is, which was I think shortlisted for the Booker Prize many years ago. And then his next book called Turbulence, I was an absolute evangelist for. It's a very slim little book, which I cannot recommend highly enough. And so I was very excited when I saw that this one was coming. And Shannon knew about it as well because I've been banging the drum for Turbulence for so long. So I got access to an early copy. I don't even know when I read this. It was long ago, but I've been talking about it ever since. And now there's Flesh, which actually has just won the Booker Prize this year for 2025. And well deserving. I was really happy to see it. So I know a lot of people who don't really know how to connect with this book, and the basic plot is pretty simple. It's about this young man. It follows him from sort of late childhood, early adolescence to full adulthood in his 40s, I think, as he goes from as he moves around from Hungary to London and back again. And his fortunes, what happens. And he's sort of shaped by events of things that kind of happen to him. But as you read, and he's Szalay has a very spare sort of style. You have to get kind of used to it, and it's hard for some people, but it's very spare. He does, he writes in the spaces between the notes, as Miles Davis famously said that about jazz, right? It's not the notes, it's the spaces between the notes. And that's kind of how this guy writes. It's the unsaid stuff that really is there. And as you read, you find out that it's his lack of choice, or it's not just the stuff that's happening to him, but it's sort of how he's responding to it. A lot of it is about masculinity and how that is perceived and integrated into this character, and expectations, what he ends up doing. He has sort of an early weird experience with an older woman when he's quite young, that kind of casts a shadow over the rest of his life. He works as muscle, as a bouncer, and then as a security guard. Anyway, and these amazing rises and dips in fortune. And I realized that I have not made it sound particularly compelling, but it's very interior. It's very interior of this guy's perspective, but it's absolutely fascinating. Like, I couldn't put it down, because there's also like this sort of drumbeat of suspense going on, like what's going to happen, and stuff does happen. A lot of stuff does happen. And you find yourself really sucked into it. It takes a minute, but then you realize what an amazing, incredible writer this guy is, and all of the stuff that you're sort of absorbing without even knowing it, and the way he's doing it, because it's very, very spare, like I said. Even the dialogue, and he barely says anything, this character, and yet you wind up like really understanding kind of what he's going through. So I just thought it was absolutely masterful. And I'm really glad it won the Booker Prize. And I recommend it all the time, especially for people who this isn't a kind of thing that they would normally pick up. So that's my first one. We'll go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joey.
Okay. I'm gonna make the least likely comparison or contrast that anyone's ever done, but I watched over the weekend, or over the holiday, or whatever the days were. They're all the same at this point. I went over to my parents' house. I watched First Blood, the first Rambo movie, with my dad, and I watched it, and I was thinking, I was like really watching it, like because there's a book called that just came out about all the Rambo movies,
right? Yes,
which is actually really, really fascinating, really good. I haven't finished it, but it's good. Anyway,
I saw that, yeah.
But he doesn't talk.
Right.
Like he does not talk. He has so few lines of dialogue in the whole movie, and everything is happening to him,
right?
And if you watch it, and you're like really, it's upsetting, because this guy he's just a dude,
right?
And he just wants to live his life, and he just wants to be left alone, and they won't leave him alone. And he doesn't do anything to escalate or provoke, and it's the cops continually escalating until he's like, I'm at the end of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I
have to end this definitively.
That's not a totally likely comparison, actually.
Yeah. So when you said that, like, the main character kind of doesn't have a lot of dialogue, like it's a lot in his head, or I don't know, is it in his head, or is it just like he's just things are happening?
Well, you are and you aren't. You have to fill in a lot of stuff. But and then a lot of it is blank, and you have to figure out what's happening with this guy, and it's very, like, it puts you really on edge, because there's also, it's called flesh, right? And a lot of it is about desire, right? Desire for flesh, desire for money, desire for power, influence, that kind of thing. And so that factors in as well. And when it bumps up and against, social convention or expectation or that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, that's not because Rambo, that's very much about, the macho masculine thing as well. So,
but he's not like he's not trying to be like a macho masculine guy.
So it's interesting because I think the flesh
that
is
gets
more
put on later,
more subtle. Yeah. Because at least beforehand, before it came out, they were talking about how like stuff happens to you kind of a thing. And I was like, yeah, but actually not really, because he's actually steering this boat a little bit, even though he doesn't. It's like hands off in a lot of ways. So thanks, Joey, the addition. Henry?
Just fascinated by the Rambo connection.
Have you guys read Flesh, actually?
No, I haven't read it yet.
Oh, you guys should read it.
I think I have.
Well, we haven't had it in stock. I sold my last one yesterday.
Yeah, people between that and the correspondent, someone tried to bribe me.
Really a slow burn. It's a slow burn with Flesh because it came out in April, but it's really taken off now after the Booker. So
I have a copy somewhere that I gave to my mom, and then she left at my house. So I have it somewhere. I just haven't gotten to it yet. What I did get to was Katabasis, which is R.F. Kuang's new book that I maybe have already talked about on here before. I love her books. I haven't read all of them, but I think they're all really great. This one is no different. Before it came out, I was seeing her unofficial reading lists for it. It was, the Odyssey, the Iliad, War and Peace, Paradise Lost, a stack about this high. She got her 4th PhD while finishing this book. She's a crazy person. As far as I can tell, reading is just her side thing. Well, she gets the most degrees on the planet. She's also like 32, which is craziness for the. Never mind.
Yeah, she's other with a capital O.
Yeah, seriously. She is still really good at what she does. She, I think, definitely writes to her experience, which is why I think this is hilarious. For those who don't know, Katabasis is about 2 graduate students who are studying magic, who, after their professor and research advisor dies, realize it is an easier thing to go to hell and bring him back to life than to find a new advisor for their graduate degree. Makes me really not want to go to grad school. It follows a very kind of weird twist on a Dante's Inferno style. I think it's very heavily influenced by a number of works that do kind of the journey into the afterlife, which they reference it kind of in the universe that she's built. Your experience of the afterlife is somewhat shaped on your understanding of it. There's still like hard rules to it. And it's just these 2 students that absolutely cannot stand each other in hell together. It really has the vibe of no exit at the beginning, that the very like hell is other people kind of thing of them trying to make it through. I think she has very interesting interpretations of the circles of hell, because she does still do that Dante's Inferno style where you're going down one at a time. She does make it sideways, which is fun. It's really hard to explain the book. It gets kind of weird and theoretical. I'd say this one makes you feel less stupid than some of her other ones. At times, reading one of her other books, I felt a little bit dumb. This doesn't have that much of that issue, but you can definitely see the places where if you read all of the books from this unofficial reading list and you have the level of education that she does, there are things that you definitely would get more out of than I did. And I still really loved the book.
So I think it works on a bunch of different levels, though. I don't think you can. I love a book that prods me to reading other things. The rabbit holes, and I have a few authors who I know will do that for me, and she's definitely one who does that. So I mean, you can take it and run with it, and fill in with the other stuff as well, or not. Though you can get just as much enjoyment out of it. On the straight surface level without doing all of that, and I think she's hugely popular, but I think that this one was more got a better reception than Babel even.
Yes,
Am I
definitely.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think Babel was a very slow burn of people kind of discovering it and
Yeah.
getting into it. This one was much more off the bat. People liked it a lot. I think part of that is due to her being much more popular, with like the Poppy War getting more out there, with Babel getting more out there, and especially with Yellowface
Well, Yellowface,
really
yeah.
putting her like on the map for people who read outside of the genre fiction zone.
Yeah.
I think this one it almost instantly had a better reception. I think it was on Indie Next. There was the special edition with the sprayed edges and everything, so it really had a much stronger reception.
Yeah, because I was expecting Babel to actually do better than it did. I mean, it did fine, obviously, but but this one really was like a banger right out of the gate. So great, thank you, Henry. Rory, what's your second book?
My second book was Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson, which is a kind of semi-autobiographical story about a young girl growing up in a really very Christian household and coming to terms with her sexuality and queerness and like the way that her relationship with her family, particularly her mother and also her church community, changes as she embraces that aspect of her life. I came across it kind of randomly. I'd heard the name thrown around, but I didn't know anything about it. And I'm in AP English Literature right now. We have to write an extended essay next semester, so we got a long list of books by British authors and just like short blurbs. This one kind of stuck out to me as seeming interesting, so I went in completely blind, other than the blurb, and I thought it was really interesting. It's not necessarily like anything that I've read before. The writing style took some, I think it took some getting used to. It's definitely an adjustment. I'm not sure necessarily how I would characterize it. It's a little bit stream of consciousness, but it's very, it's both really direct and real, but also abstract. It kind of wanders in a lot of different directions, but you get a real sense of the author and the character were kind of intertwined, their voice. And yeah, I found it a really interesting read. I just picked it up, so it's kind of fresh in my mind, but I liked it.
Have you seen the I was kind of surprised to see this one because Jeanette Winterson's the favorite at Diesel and among I don't know, everyone, the reps and the booksellers alike. But I hadn't actually seen anybody talk about this one. This is an older one of hers. And she's got some new ones. I have it here somewhere. Yeah. This one, I don't know if this one's out yet. Is it, Joey? One Aladdin, Two Lamps. And it's sort of like in reinterpretation of Scheherazade, right? So this is on my list. I haven't read it.
Came out November 13th.
Aha! So it is out. Great. So there's another twofer that we can do. I haven't read it, but it's on the top of my pile here. I can't wait. Because she does have that really interesting style, and it pulls you in. And but I was glad to see this one on your list because I don't know anything about it. Because it's older, we tend to focus on the newer stuff. So, a great recommend.
That was that's actually her first book that she and probably the follow-up would be Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal, which is a memoir, and possibly one of the best titles of a book.
Yeah, that's a good one. But it's from correct. It's like is it the 80s actually? Is it that far back or is it?
Yeah, I
think it is.
Well, I think that one came out in like 2000, 2001, 2002. I want to say.
Okay.
But it's about her childhood, obviously.
Yeah.
But
that one, yeah. But
I mean, but yes, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. That's from like 85.
Okay, long time ago. And none of you guys remember the 80s.
I do.
Okay, barely. Thank you, Rory. Joey, what's your second book?
Okay, my second book is also going
It's
to
also
be
5 books.
It's actually 7, so soon to be 8. And that is going to be the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I read all of these books in a row, all 7, and it's been very interesting because there are people who are reading these books that I would not classify, I would not even think about as being genre fantasy readers at all, or sci-fi, whatever, because it's like a mixable. And it's a friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in a while. He posted on his Instagram his said he read 50 books this year, and because he moved away and he has a kid, and he dedicated himself to reading every night for at least like 30 minutes, 45 minutes every single night. And he he hate read a Brandon Sanderson book, and he was like so upset that he was like, this shit's for nerds, I hate this. and then he was like, okay, I played 1,000,000 hours of Baldur's Gate 3, I love the game, I have to like fantasy somehow, but not this. And so he got recommended Dungeon Crawler Carl, and he picked up and he read it, and he read all of them. He loved them. He went crazy for them, and he never expected that to happen. But it's like, he is not the guy you would think to be a fantasy reader at all. He is, like, he's, tough tattooed bald guy, and like he's in that kind of image. Anyway, this book series is about a guy who is surviving the end of the world with his ex-girlfriend's cat, while he is put on a intergalactic game show, reality TV show, and forced to survive for the entertainment of the rest of the galaxy. It is super fun. It starts off really whimsical and silly, and then as the books continue and go on, it gets a little bit more deep and serious until you get to the end, and it's you're like a grizzled veteran of this dungeon, and you're just like, yeah, let's burn everything down, kind of thing. And Matt is a super cool guy. We did the book 7 hardcover release event. It was biggest event we've ever done, 500 people, super fun event to be at. And everybody there at the event was just such a gracious person. I think I've never had an event with so many people and everyone was so nice to us. And it was, so people who read this book are cool.
Right. Right.
I can't,
that always helps.
I can't, yeah. And I can't recommend this enough for anybody who likes Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of things, who liked Ready Player One, who liked just adventures and a little, like, some whimsy, but with a little bit of bite to it. Yeah.
The fun thing about this, or one of the fun things about it, is that it was sort of an underground series, right, for a while, and then Penguin got hold of it, and they were like, we're gonna do it right, and then so they released all of them like at the same time, which was
it was the first
great
3
for people. Yeah,
first 3 in 1 month, and then like 3 months later the next 3. Yeah,
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's all at once, right?
Like the first one just
wait
came back
like
out
a
in
year
paperback.
or 2 years for like follow-ups, right? If you're like crazed binger of these things and you like it, it's like it's all there,
And it came out in paperback. The first book came out in paperback yesterday, actually. So I forgot to mention
But
that.
I know that, and Tom, it was so great. Our wonderful Penguin rep, Tom from Penguin, who will probably be on next week. He was like, listen, I'm not really,
I don't know what these are.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna give it to you. And I think, let me know. And he really got it out there. It was great. And it just took
it's
off like
been
wildfire.
it's been a
Yeah.
phenomenon in
Yeah.
the store. In
Yeah.
like people, I walk I walk around and I see people with it, and it's
Yeah.
just like that is
Yeah, like giant
it's been
stacks everywhere. It's really,
Yeah.
it's very
And-
cool. Yeah. So
and I went to uh I do Dungeons and Dragons games for kids, and I went to one of the kids' houses, and I saw one of the books like on the coffee table in the house. I was like, "Oh, who's reading that?" And like the host, her daughter was reading it, and then that started a conversation with another one of the kids' dads who is also reading it,
that's funny.
and like these aren't people who like the kids are into the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but the parents and the siblings are not.
Right.
And it's just very like the wide appeal is just incredible. I have not seen something like this in a long time.
Well, speaking about kids and wide appeal, for adults, my second book is Xolo, by Donna, Barba, Higuera, and illustrated by Mariana Ruiz Johnson. Okay, so basically this is a little bit of Aztec mythology. The name Quetzalcoatl might be familiar. He stole back the bones of man from the underworld and created Earth, basically, and was the hero, the feathered hero. But does anybody know that he had a brother called Xolo? The dog-headed god. And this story is about this lesser known god, with the origin of man's best friend and dog. And you can, when you read it, you can see why. Okay, so I was immediately drawn to this book by the absolutely stunning, all of the stunning illustrations. I mean, really, they're like amazing. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. And they're all like that, and on every page, just fantastic illustrations. But also the text, there's I'm not actually sure the age range because I read it. And look at this spread. I mean, it's amazing. Look how beautiful that is. So I was drawn to it, but I know a lot about lots of different mythologies, but not Aztec mythology and not Native American mythology, which is very complex. And so I'm all for when there's like an explainer for kids, because that's a great entry into it, but especially when it's done so beautifully and comprehensively like this. And so I just sat down and I read it all at once. And I just absolutely loved the illustrations. And the text is great. It's not too much. I think you could read it to a younger child, or I would say on their own, probably a good, strong 7, 8, 9-year-old reader, and then up. I mean, I loved it, and I could see she illustrates beautifully here themes of like being ostracized, being different, feeling like you don't fit in, and then also, defining what makes a hero, what makes a helper, what is loyalty, that kind of thing, and all these qualities that we, and it loops back around to the dog, right, and what the dog means to us as humans. And and how Xolo fits in. It's beautifully illustrated. It's informative, it's educational. It's just a great story, easy to follow, unusual, different. I absolutely loved it, and Joey loves it as well. And so I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Joey.
It's just so good. It's so good. I gave this away on Christmas, like, to everybody I could. I've been selling it to everybody that I can. Also, everyone I gave it to was like 7 to 10. So, and anybody who, like, I think it's also just got that broader appeal too, of like anyone who loves dogs. Like, just in general, like if someone's a dog person, like this, I feel like this is a great pick for them, just as in general.
Absolutely.
And then also, like the mythology behind it, because
it's great
there's not a lot
foundational
of
stuff,
like, as a Chicano person in the world, this is part of like a culture that I was not exposed to growing up, but is incredibly important to me specifically to have available and to see, because there's a lot of focus, when we talk mythology, there's a lot of focus on, like, everybody instantly goes to like Greek and Roman mythology,
right?
And there's so much more happening out there.
A lot.
And it's just and the art style is so perfect.
No, it's fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful.
I don't know if you're familiar with the codices of which were these huge scrolls that the Mexica people wrote when the Spaniards came and the colonization happened. They wrote their histories on these scrolls in art, and so Mariana did an amazing job of emulating the style of the codices. That those are
absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Joey. All right. Well, we're going to start the last round, and I think we're going to like speed it up a little bit. This is what happens when you get a bunch of booksellers together, right? Get very chatty. So let's get the last round going, Henry.
Okay, so my last one is called Skulduggery Pleasant. I have talked about it on here before. I have developed probably unhealthy obsession with these books. It is technically a chunk of them are junior reader, a chunk of them are middle reader, a chunk of them are young adult. I think that's wrong. I'm not sure whether there should be. It's become a long-standing argument in my household because my girlfriend and I argue about it. She read these books as a kid and then told me to read them. A lot of my books this year were, we did a lot this year of I would give them books I read and they would give me books that they read when they were younger. I read 15 out of, I think there's 19 of these books. I fully cried at the end of the 15th one. It is so good. I think that Derek Landy does a very good job of writing books for younger readers that do not feel like they're meant for younger readers, to the point where I enjoyed them at the age of 27. He does not treat you like you're stupid. He does not treat you like you can't handle knowing real things about the world. He will probably never keep a single one of his opinions to himself. It is an incredible book series. It follows a young girl whose uncle dies under somewhat mysterious circumstances, and during the reading of his will, a very strange man wearing an overcoat and a big hat and a lot of things covering him attends the will reading. And then she runs into him again at her uncle's house that she has now inherited, where it is revealed that he is a talking skeleton. He is a sorcerer. There's a world of magic that she's now wrapped up into while they try and solve what really happened with her uncle's murder. That's just the first book. I do not have time to talk about all 15 of them. I could be here forever to talk just about this. I think it is an incredible urban fantasy series for kids and puts a lot of other urban fantasy series for kids that I won't name specifically to shame and leaves them entirely in the dust.
Thank you, Henry. You have talked about them before. That is a great recommend. And I think we're doing a lot of like sort of cross genre stuff today, like broad appeal types of stuff. So excellent. Thank you. What's your last book, Rory?
My next book was Heart Beloved by Lily King. This is the first Lily King I've read, and it's a 2025 release, and I really loved it. I guess it feels reductive to say it's about a love triangle, which I guess it is in essence, but it also has so much more dimension than that. I thought that it's essentially about the first love and the way that lasts with you throughout your life, but it's also very steeped in a sense of like in literature, lots of literary references, in a sense of like genuine love for like academia, I guess, and cultural discussion and like relationships formed on the basis of that, which I thought was really interesting. I'm intrigued to read more of her novels now. I thought that the writing style at the beginning it's a lot of like short line breaks and short paragraphs, which sometimes I find off-putting and a little like overly like not modern, I guess, but like it is a little bit reminiscent of Instagram poetry for me. But it really grew on me. I thought the writing style was so immersive and captivating. I picked it up after midnight one night and I couldn't fall asleep until I finished it. So yeah, this one was a good 2025 release for me.
This one's been on my list forever, and I haven't. Good for you for reading it. I'm not caught up with it. Another huge, incredibly popular book. So, who's your ideal reader for this, Rory? Like, when they come into the store?
I got it by the recommendation of my older sisters who are 25 and my mother. So I think that is definitely like probably like young adults, like actually young adults, not like YA is probably the most typical audience. But I feel like it could have like a pretty broad appeal because it feels like there are elements of it that feel very like universal and kind of timeless isn't the right word, but I do think that it could have an appeal beyond just like what you would think of as Lily King's target audience. But I mean that's definitely who I would recommend it to first because that's who recommended it to me.
Right. Older sisters are so useful. I wish
They
I
really
had
are.
one. I wish I had one, but I just am one. I'm the eldest, and I have lots of sisters. So, thank you very much, Rory. Joey, what's your last book of the day?
So last book of the day is going to be, if this ever works, is going to be The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I had such a good time reading this book. It's so fun. I love all his stuff. I've read pretty much everything he's written, and this is possibly my favorite, just because he's such a normally he's writing things that are incredibly dark and grim, and nothing's good and nothing gets better, and actually the world makes people worse for being in it. And this book is full of that dark grimness and everybody that but it's also aware of it, and it doesn't take itself seriously despite all that. And there's just so much fun to be had in here. It's like the Monster Squad and Suicide Squad mashed together and sent on a mission where no one's expected to come back. And it's just really fun and really cool. I can't recommend it enough if you want a dark but lighthearted adventure.
You told me about this one a while ago, and I haven't read it, and it sounds I love that like dark light thing, and I haven't read it yet either. I feel so bad. I haven't read a lot of your picks.
Like there's a werewolf, and she's a team killer, and she kills everybody like on her team kind of historically. And so like there's a moment where they're like reminiscing, like we had a goblin once, and she's like, what happened to her? It's like, oh, you killed her. It's like, oh, right, that happened. Sorry. And then it's like, I miss her. Oh, but yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you have, you know, like, and you throw a fallen priest into the whole thing, and you know, everything just, it just comes together so well. Yeah.
Excellent. Another great recommend. Thank you, Joey. All right, I'm going to finish things up for the day with my last book, which is 59 Minutes by Holly Seddon. And this is actually pretty solidly genre, I think. The premise here, it takes place in London and environs. And the premise here is that everybody gets a city countrywide alert that there are nuclear missiles headed towards London. And they have 59 minutes before they land. So what happens in those 59 minutes? And it follows three different women, actually, who are at various spots. One on the tube when she finds out, one sort of who's just gone on vacation, and another one who's waiting for her daughter to come home from school. And what they do, and every, you know, of course, time is really slowed down as you go from one character to the next. But you know, it's kind of a familiar sort of premise, but this one really made me think. I really got into the characters, and sort of the like almost immediate deterioration of society when after people have been told that they've got 59 minutes before like the nukes hit, right? And it made me think, because we sort of live in an age where like that kind of thing, you know, it doesn't seem that remote. You know,
Well, it sort of happened in Hawaii a few years ago.
Right. Yeah, for a second they got that. That's right. But just like a general sense of like, you know, world ending types of things, you know, at the drop of a hat, you know, somebody presses the wrong button. Like we're in an age where like pressing the wrong button, you know, feels like something that could happen at any moment. And just to see how she conveys what people do and the choices they make and what they decide to do. And it made me think, because that's the kind of thing I think about all the time. I loved disaster movies when I was a kid, and I grew up to read a lot of disaster books and things like that. I don't know. It's sort of like my own version of psychologically preparing for the ultimate. And this is definitely that. But great character development, but also like it stayed with me. So, and I'm not the only one. It was an Indie Next pick in December. And so lots of other booksellers felt the same. But it's a great read. I raced right through it. So I highly recommend this for anybody looking for that really like sort of the last few moments of your vacation. You want a great sort of stay up all night read. This is definitely it. So that's my pick, and that's it for us for the year, for the day. We are so glad to have been doing Elevenses. How many years has it been, Joey? Like
5?
6? 5?
6?
No, 6.
Going
I
into
think
year
6.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be doing this for you for all of these years. Thank you for showing up all the time, everybody, on Wednesdays. We really appreciate it, and we really had a lot of fun. This has been a really difficult year in a lot of ways for a lot of people, especially for people in Los Angeles, where we are, and in other ways. And you know, the one constant has been like great books and our love of books and our book community keeping us all together. So in that, we are hashtag blessed. Sorry, Henry. I know it's still early. I know. Sorry. I did the wink. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in all year. and for showing up for us, and we really appreciate it. And thank you today to Rory for joining us, Joey as always, and Henry also as always. Thank you so much. We're going to be back next year and also next week. And we will be joined with our publishers by our publishers representatives and the Odd Bookseller. And we hope you will join us then. Have a happy and safe New Year's, everybody. We'll see you next week.